So next up, I want to talk about snares. And with snares, there are kind of two things. Number one is snare rolls, and number two is pitched snare rolls. So to pitch a snare roll, you just kind of play the snare on different notes. So on the keyboard. And then for the snare rolls themselves, I will show you a few examples of what I'm talking about. But I've actually already made a video on these type of snare rolls, so I will link that in the description if you want to get a better idea of how to do the snare rolls. But anyway, here are a couple examples. So here's one example right here. And here is another example here. That one, kind of the snare played on its own, but you can definitely have the snare play with other elements in your track, and I think that sounds really nice as well. So here's this example right here. So I think that these kind of snare rolls can really spice up a trap beat, especially if your kicks and other sounds are a little bit simple. You can add those snares in there to really add a whole lot more energy. And like I said, I do have a video on how to make those snare rolls, which I will link in the description. So finally, I want to talk about hi-hats and using hi-hats to improve your current trap beats. So I'm specifically going to be talking about hi-hat rolls because hi-hat rolls are really popular in trap music. And I think that a lot of beginners don't use the rolls as well as they could. And so that's what I'm going to be focusing on for this video, is how to use those hi-hat rolls a bit more effectively. So an easy thing to do with your hi-hats is to really use them to play with or play off of the other drums that you have in your beat. Because what you really don't want is you don't want your hi-hat rolls to sound completely random. And it's easy to kind of fall into the trap of having your hi-hat rolls be a bit more random and just, throwing them all over the place because you want that high energy, you want those, exciting hi-hat rolls that a lot of professionals use. But what you really need to do is, achieve that excitement without it being random and without it kind of being rhythmless or not really matching the rhythm of your track. And so, one easy way to do this is to have the hi-hat rolls between impacts. So for example, if this is my drum beat, and maybe I have, a hi-hat going on, then, I might add a roll between this kick here and this snare, because that kick and that snare are both pretty decent impacts. So I might go into the piano roll. And I'm going to set the snap to be a little bit more precise, to 1/4 of a step. And we'll see how that sounds. And I think that sounds kind of nice. If I wanted to, I could also add it on this kick here. And I can just kind of do, different stuff like that. And this is kind of a basic example. Again, really getting familiar with the hi-hat rolls is going to take some time. It's going to take some practice. And then, once you kind of get the hang of it, you will be able to figure out your own ways to really use your hi-hat rolls to work with or emphasize different parts of your drum beat rhythm or the rhythm of your track as a whole. So I'm going to show you now a few different examples of hi-hat rolls that I think I've done well. And one is actually something that I've already shown you. In this example here, with the drop, I have the hi-hats really dancing with the melody. And so that's something you can definitely do, is use your hi-hat rolls to either play with or play off of your melody. And in this case, I think it turned out very well.
Yeah.
And in this example down here, if you listen to the open hat, it's kind of interesting, especially if you listen to the open hat and the kick. They don't exactly play together, they don't play at the same time, the open hat and the kick, but the open hat kind of dances around the rhythm of the kick. So the open hat kind of plays off of the kick. And you'll hear that right in this section here. So you can hear that the open hat isn't, playing right with the kick, but it's definitely dancing around the rhythm of the kick. I'll play that again quickly. And, if you wanted to, you could kind of achieve a similar effect using hi-hat rolls instead of the open hat. But in that case, I used the open hat because that's what I wanted to do. And something a little bit different that you can do with hi-hat rolls is you can use them to start off your drop with a really high energy. Or start off a certain section of your track with really high energy. So you can hear in this section, kind of where the transition ends, you'll hear right after that transition, the start of it has a really fast hi-hat roll that kind of slows down over time. So you can hear kind of right at the end of that build-up-ish transition, the next bit that starts off with a really fast hi-hat roll. And so you can hopefully hear how the hi-hat changes from going really fast to a bit slower to even a bit slower. Just all in the course of this short section here. And this is a technique that I've used in a couple different tracks. Here's another example of that happening. So again, I use it right at the end of a transition, or right at the beginning of the section that comes right after that transition. And I'll just play that through so you can hear it. And then it happens again up here with another bass drop. And I just think that's kind of a nice effect. So, there are a bunch of different ways you can use hi-hat rolls to really work with your track and be a part of the track as a whole, rather than just having crazy hi-hat rolls all over the place. Hopefully those examples have given you a few ideas of some options you have, but really what I recommend is to just play with it and see what you can kind of come up with, and really pay attention and see if it sounds good or if it doesn't sound good. But yeah, hopefully this video, hopefully all the tips I've given you in this video have been helpful, and hopefully, they'll inspire you to kind of try out some new things in your trap beats and maybe kind of improve the quality of your trap beats. So yeah, I hope that was helpful, and I will see you in the next video. Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. If you thought it was helpful, please be sure to leave a like and maybe a comment if you have any questions or requests for future videos. If you're new to the channel, I encourage you to subscribe and have a look around. I've already uploaded a bunch of tutorials and I try to release new ones every week. I also do my best to keep things pretty organized so that you can find what you're looking for a bit more easily. So thanks again guys for watching the video, and hopefully I'll see you next time.